Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine, that prickling sensation on the back of your neck? Have you ever had the unsettling feeling as if someone was watching you, their gaze lingering just a little too long? Perhaps, lurking from the shadows, a presence you can't quite place but deeply unnerves you? Imagine that unease, that creeping dread amplified and sustained. Imagine it gripping an entire city, a collective anxiety clouding the streets and homes. Imagine that fear persisting for years, a dark shadow hanging over everyday life. The man behind this fear, this pervasive sense of dread, he called himself the Zodiac, a chilling moniker that would soon become synonymous with terror. It was a name he chose deliberately, a carefully crafted identity, and a symbol he made infamous, etching it into the collective consciousness of a terrified populace. The Zodiac didn't just kill his victims. He sought something more sinister. He seized control of the narrative, manipulating the story to his own twisted ends. He became the author of the story, dictating the terms of his own infamy. He reveled in taunting the public and the police, playing a cat-and-mouse game with deadly stakes. He planned with every move, carefully calculating each step in his macabre game. So, who was the man behind the mask, the figure lurking in the shadows? Who was the individual who terrorized Northern California, holding an entire region hostage with fear? Who was this phantom armed with a pen, crafting chilling messages that sent shivers down spines? Who was this killer wielding a gun, extinguishing lives and shattering the illusion of safety? And who was the mind behind the cryptic symbol, the enigmatic emblem that became a calling card for terror? This isn't just a cold case relegated to dusty files. It's something far more profound. It's an active mystery that continues to baffle investigators and captivate the public imagination. It's a chilling enigma that's haunted generations, casting a long shadow across the years. The Zodiac emerged from the darkness. In the late 1960s, a turbulent era already marked by social upheaval and change, he injected a potent dose of terror into a time of supposed peace, shattering the illusion of safety and security. He orchestrated his crimes with meticulous precision, like a carefully staged performance, each act designed to maximize fear and impact. He turned the public into his unwilling audience, forcing them to witness his terrifying spectacle. For over 50 years, the case has remained unsolved. And the central question has lingered, haunting our collective consciousness. What drove him to commit such heinous acts? Why did he taunt law enforcement and the public with his cryptic messages and elaborate ciphers? What satisfaction did he derive from mocking those trying to stop him, those desperately seeking to bring him to justice? He wrote to newspapers knowing his words would be splashed across headlines, demanded attention, craving the spotlight and reveling in the fear he inspired. He threatened more violence, holding the promise of further bloodshed over the heads of a terrified populace. He warned of dire consequences if his demands were ignored, further amplifying the sense of dread. The Zodiac turned fear into a twisted game, a macabre contest with life and death as the stakes. He treated the investigation like a chessboard, strategically planning his moves and anticipating his opponent's reactions. He was always one step ahead of the authorities, evading capture and remaining elusive. He was always unseen, a phantom lurking in the shadows, a whisper in the wind. Even now, decades later, with advancements in forensic science and investigative techniques, the central question remains unanswered, a persistent enigma that continues to haunt us. Who was he, this architect of fear, this master of manipulation, and why did he do it? What drove him to inflict such terror on an unsuspecting world? The story begins, a chilling tale that continues to haunt the collective memory of a generation. On a cold December night, the kind that chills you to the bone, setting the stage for a series of events that would grip the nation in fear. It was 1968, a year already marked by turmoil and change. Little did anyone know that a new kind of terror was about to emerge. On a lonely road, a stretch of asphalt cutting through the darkness, far from the city lights and the safety they offered. This desolate scene unfolded near Vallejo, California, a place soon to be synonymous with fear and the unknown. Two teenagers, full of youthful dreams and the excitement of new romance, found themselves caught in a nightmare. David Faraday, a young man with his whole life ahead of him, and Betty Lou Jensen, a bright and promising young woman. They were on their first date, a night meant for laughter and connection, a memory to cherish. But their innocent evening took a dark turn when a stranger, lurking in the shadows, crossed their path. This encounter tragically ended their young lives, leaving behind a community in shock and a mystery that would endure for decades. There was no robbery, their possessions remained untouched, There was no discernible motive, no clear reason for such a brutal act. It was just senseless violence, a horrifying act that defied explanation and left investigators baffled. This marked the arrival of a new kind of terror. The Zodiac had arrived, and the game had begun. 7 months later, the fear returned, casting a dark shadow over the community once more. He struck again, proving that the horror of December was not an isolated incident. This time the scene was at Blue Rock Springs Park, a place of leisure now stained with violence. Darlene Ferrin was killed, another innocent life taken too soon. But Michael Mageau miraculously survived, clinging to life and holding a crucial piece of the puzzle. He provided a description of the attacker, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Less than an hour later, the terror took an even more bizarre turn. A calm voice, chillingly devoid of emotion, pierced through the night. That voice called police, claiming responsibility for the horrors that had just unfolded. The caller claimed credit for both attacks, solidifying the connection between the two horrific events. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he craved attention, reveling in the fear he instilled. He announced it to the world, making sure everyone knew of his gruesome deeds. He was demanding the world's attention, and he knew exactly how to get it. Soon a series of cryptic letters arrived, each one a chilling reminder of the killer's presence. These letters were delivered to Bay Area newspapers, turning the media into unwilling participants in his twisted game. Each letter contained details so specific, so intimate, only the killer could know, confirming his connection to the crimes. But there was more to these letters than just gruesome details. A cryptogram, a complex puzzle designed to taunt and challenge. This coded message was more than just a taunt. He claimed it would reveal his identity, promising to unveil the face behind the terror. He threatened more violence, holding the city hostage with the promise of further bloodshed. He demanded that the ciphers be published, or else the killing would continue. Faced with such a terrifying threat, the newspapers complied, printing the ciphers for all to see. The public became part of the hunt, drawn into his twisted game, desperately trying to decipher the code and stop the madness. The Zodiac was no longer just a whisper in the dark, no longer just a shadow lurking in the periphery. He was a name splashed across headlines, a figure of dread etched into the public consciousness. He was a voice on the phone, a chilling presence that haunted the dreams of an entire city. He was a symbol of fear, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. He had made himself into something more than just a killer. He had made himself unforgettable, a permanent scar on the landscape of the Bay Area. The Bay Area, once a symbol of freedom and opportunity, would never be the same, forever marked by the terror of the Zodiac. The Zodiac's terror escalated, reaching new heights of brutality and psychological manipulation. His actions became bolder, his taunts more brazen, and the fear he instilled gripped the entire region. The sense of security that people once felt was shattered, replaced by a pervasive anxiety that lingered with every news report and whispered conversation. It was in the crisp, cool air of the fall of 1969, a season typically associated with change and reflection, that the Zodiac's dark presence loomed largest. The leaves were turning, the days were growing shorter, and a sense of unease settled over Northern California. The idyllic setting of Lake Berryessa, a place of natural beauty and recreation, became the stage for his next horrifying act. What was once a haven for relaxation would forever be tainted by the violence that unfolded there. Brian Hartnell, a young man full of promise and potential, found himself caught in the crosshairs of the Zodiac's twisted game, and Cecilia Shepard, a bright and vibrant young woman, tragically became another victim of his senseless violence. Their lives, full of dreams and aspirations, were forever altered by the encounter. As they enjoyed a peaceful afternoon, they were unexpectedly approached by a figure shrouded in mystery and menace. A hooded man, his face obscured, emerged from the shadows, bringing with him an aura of dread and impending doom. Emblazoned on his chest was a chilling symbol, a crossed circle that had become synonymous with fear and death. He claimed to be in a calculated attempt to deceive and disarm his victims. An escaped convict, a desperate man on the run, seeking only temporary refuge. He then proceeded to tie them up, methodically and cruelly, binding them to their fate. With chilling precision, he then stabbed them brutally, leaving them for dead in the isolated location. Cecilia succumbed to her injuries and died, another life tragically cut short by the Zodiac's hand. Brian, against all odds, miraculously survived the attack, carrying with him the physical and emotional scars of that horrific day. In a further act of calculated cruelty, the killer marked Hartnell's car, turning it into a macabre canvas for his twisted message. He scrawled his signature symbol, the cross circle, a chilling reminder of his presence and his power. He also etched the dates of his attacks, as if meticulously documenting his reign of terror. It was as if he was keeping score, tallying the lives he had taken and the fear he had sown. Later that night, under the cloak of darkness, he brazenly called the police, his voice a chilling whisper in the night. He did this to claim credit for the Lake Berryessa attack, reveling in the attention and the fear he was generating. His voice was eerily calm, betraying no remorse, no empathy, only a chilling detachment from the horror he had inflicted. Just 2 weeks later, the Zodiac's bloodlust resurfaced. He struck again, this time, in the heart of San Francisco, bringing his terror to the bustling city streets. His victim was a cab driver, an ordinary man simply trying to make a living. Paul Stine became another name etched in the Zodiac's growing list of victims. In a gruesome act of defiance, he took a piece of Paul Stine's bloody shirt, a macabre trophy of his heinous crime. He kept it as proof, a tangible reminder of his ability to kill with impunity. In a cruel twist of fate, police officers actually saw the suspect fleeing the scene, but tragically they let him go, unaware of the monster they had just encountered. It was a mistake that haunted the case for decades to come, a constant reminder of a missed opportunity to bring a killer to justice. The Zodiac then sent Stine's shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, escalating his game of cat and mouse with the authorities. He did this to mock the police, taunting them with their inability to catch him. He also included a threatening message, promising to attack a school bus filled with innocent children. Panic swept through the city as parents feared for the safety of their children. It was clear that he was no longer just targeting couples, seeking out victims in secluded locations. He was now threatening children, demonstrating a depravity that shocked the nation. The Zodiac had proven he could strike anywhere from the shores of a tranquil lake to the bustling streets of a major city. He could strike any time, shattering the illusion of safety and security that people desperately clung to. The police seemed powerless to stop him, their efforts constantly thwarted by his cunning and his ability to remain one step ahead. The game had changed, escalating from a series of brutal attacks to a psychological war against the entire city, and the fear deepened, permeating every aspect of life in the Bay Area. The Zodiac's legend, fueled by his taunts and the unsolved nature of his crimes, was cemented, forever haunting the collective consciousness of a nation. The Zodiac's threats against schoolchildren sent shockwaves through Northern California. Police guarded school buses, parents drove their kids scanning for danger. The Zodiac held a generation hostage with a single letter. Fear seeped into daily life. People stayed home, bought guns, formed neighborhood watches. His symbol became a brand of terror, his letters a constant reminder of his presence. Law enforcement faced a nightmare. Few clues, vague descriptions, and a killer who crossed jurisdictions. Investigators like Dave Toschi became public figures, burdened by the hunt. Thousands of tips poured in, but the Zodiac always seemed a step ahead. He taunted police, threatened new horrors, and sent ever more complex ciphers. The police were always reacting, never catching up. The Zodiac wasn't just a murderer. He waged psychological war on the Bay Area. The city's spirit was under siege, the fear was real, and it was everywhere. As years passed, the Zodiac investigation stalled, but the search for his identity never stopped. Dozens of suspects emerged, most famously Arthur Lee Allen, whose life eerily matched the Zodiac's profile. Allen owned a Zodiac watch, matched a boot print, and was the focus of intense scrutiny, but DNA and fingerprints didn't match. He died in 1992, his guilt unproven. Other suspects surfaced: Richard Gaikowski, Lawrence Kane, Gary Francis Post, Paul Duer, each with tantalizing but inconclusive links. For every clue pointing to one man, another clue ruled him out. The case became a labyrinth of red herrings and dead ends. The Zodiac could have been any of them, or none. He might still be an unknown face in the crowd. The Zodiac's ciphers are as infamous as his crimes. He sent 4 coded messages, daring the public to solve them. The first cipher was cracked by a high school teacher and his wife, revealing only chilling boasts: no name. The most famous, the Z340 cipher, resisted all attempts for 51 years. In 2020, 3 private citizens finally cracked it. The message? Another taunt: I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. No clues to his identity. Just more mockery. 2 ciphers remain unsolved. A 32-character message with a map, and a 13-symbol cipher claiming to reveal his name. Are the answers hidden there, or is it just another cruel joke? The codes promise answers, but deliver only more questions. The Zodiac's puzzles mirror the case itself. Endlessly frustrating, endlessly fascinating. The mystery endures. Why does the Zodiac still fascinate us in 2025? The case is the ultimate true crime mystery, an unidentified killer, cryptic codes, and a trail of fear. The internet has revived the hunt, with thousands of amateur sleuths poring over every detail. Digitized files and online communities have made the case more accessible than ever. Advances in DNA analysis offer hope. Partial profiles from Zodiac's letters could one day reveal his identity. But time is running out, and evidence degrades. The Zodiac taps into our deepest fear, evil hiding in plain sight. His anonymity is what makes him so terrifying. Solving the case is about more than justice. It's about ending the story that's haunted us for decades. The search continues, driven by hope and obsession. The answer may still be out there. Could the Zodiac still be alive? If he was in his late 20s in the 1960s, he'd be in his 80s or 90s now. He could be living quietly, his secret intact, or watching this very documentary. Or he may have died, taking his identity to the grave. Some believe he was incarcerated for other crimes, explaining his sudden silence. If he's dead, only DNA or fingerprints can reveal the truth. The answer may lie in a dusty evidence box, waiting to be found. Alive or dead, the Zodiac achieved a kind of immortality. His persona outlives him. He's become modern folklore, a permanent fixture in American crime. The hunt for his name continues, fueled by a need for justice and closure. The ghost may linger, but the search is very much alive. The Zodiac case is a story with no ending, just more questions. Who was he? Why did he stop? How many victims were there really? He claimed 37, but only 5 are confirmed. The file remains open, a testament to a killer never caught. The victims, David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, Paul Stein, were real people, not just names in a mystery. Survivors like Michael Mageau and Brian Hartnell live with the scars. The search for the Zodiac is about justice and closure for them. The case reminds us that sometimes evil escapes justice, but persistence endures. As long as someone is searching, there is hope. The next breakthrough could come at any time. The mystery isn't over, and neither is the hunt. The